What is interesting when we have to think about the fallen of the Roman Empire in relation with the maintaining of the classical culture is that, in this sense, when there was the fallen of the western part of the Roman Empire, on the one hand, there was a specific type of consideration that we have to do when we think about the fallen of the structure of the elitism of the Roman Empire. This is interesting because when the Roman Empire fallen, there was the fallen also of the elitism of the Roman Empire, and that type of elitism, for example, the elite in the sense of the Roman Empire, as the senators, etc., studied the classics. In particular, we know that the important proprietaries, the important lords of the lands across the Roman Empire studied the classics and to had an important impact, or in the sense in relation with the idea of the cursus honorum, they had to consider the necessity to develop a specific type of idea in relation with the fact that they had to study the classics. This is really interesting because therefore we know that the sons of the important lord of lands sent their sons to study the classics. This is really interesting. And when there was the fallen of the Roman Empire, we know that on the other hand there was specifically the idea that there was the changing in the western part of the Roman Empire, or of the ex-Roman Empire. There was the changing of this type of structure because there were arrived the barbarians into the Roman Empire. Therefore, if in the east the Roman Empire maintained itself with a specific type of structure that then it was divided in the themes with the emperor and different type of kings, the East Roman Empire that that developed its type of power in the centuries. We know that Justinian tried to reconquer the west part of the Roman Empire and succeeded. In particular, he reconquered the Italian peninsula. He reconquered the western North Africa. For example, Tunisia. He reconquered part of Spain, the southeast of Spain. But at the same time, we know also that in the end there was a specific type of different type of situation, in any case in the western part of the ex-Roman Empire, because it is important to consider that the East Roman Empire succeeded to reconquest part of the ex-Roman Empire of the West, but at the same time there were the barbarians. And in this sense, the barbarians changed the idea of instruction, education of the Roman Empire. This is really interesting because if before it was important to study the classics, then with the barbarians, the urbanization it was Roman, the architecture it was Roman. We know that also, for example, the Italian peninsula, when the general of Justinian, for example, Belisario, or in the case the Romans of the east part of the Roman Empire arrived, destroyed in different type of battles against the barbarians, different type of cities built from Rome. But in any case, we know that the kingdoms, the barbarians' kingdoms developed their powers in relation with the structure of Rome, but at the same time changed also the idea, in any case, of instruction, because the elites of the old Roman Empire now had to consider the idea to develop a specific type of connection with the barbarians, because on the one hand the legionaries they weren't paid. In fact, after the falling of the West Roman Empire, the legionaries didn't have a specific type of payment to, in this sense, have an incentive, a motivation to defend the Roman Empire. And therefore they develop a specific type of connection with some barbarians. On the one hand, some of these legionaries developed some defenses between them without a specific type of law of the Roman Empire, because there was the fallen of the Roman Empire. But in this sense, they develop a specific type of groups to defend themselves from the barbarians. On the other hand, they develop a specific type of connection with these barbarians, in fact, In this sense, we can speak on the one hand about the urbanization of the Roman Empire, on the other hand about the connection between some Romans and the barbarians, the different type of barbarians. In particular, we know, for example, Vandals, we know, for example, Ostrogoth, etc. And this is interesting. How Greeks maintain itself in any case, because with the falling of the west part of the Roman Empire, the Greeks fell, and only some people, only some people, not much people, knew the ancient Greek, and the Latin, with centuries, arrived to be explained and to write only from some intellectuals, in particular the intellectuals of the church. And why, therefore, in any case, the Greek maintained itself in the East? Because there were some battles, some conflicts between the East Roman Empire, and at the same time also with the Sassanid Empire, the Persian Sassanid Empire. This is interesting because in any case, the Hellenistic society that became from the 4th century BC influenced the Persians. In fact, with Alexander the Great and after Alexander the Great, the science, the Greek science, the Greek art, the Greek literature, the Greek philosophy arrived in the Sassanid Empire, in part. And we know that in any case, if the western part of the Persian Empire fallen, the east part, in the sense of the Roman Empire, it was survived, and therefore we know that if it is true, we have to consider that if it is true and the east part of the Roman Empire survived, these battles between the Romans, the ancient Romans of the East, and the Sassanid Empire developed themselves to limit one empire wanted to limit the other empire. We know that, in particular in the 5th century BC, there were the Huns that attacked from the east the Roman Empire, and then the Western Roman Empire, before the fallen of the Western Roman Empire, and therefore these two empires, because the Persian Sassanid considered the Huns a possible enemy, but in particular possible dangers for this empire, developed a specific type of connection and peace with the East Roman Empire. Therefore, this peace, it was important to develop some conflicts against the Huns. According to these two empires, it was better to develop a specific type of peace, the East Roman Empire and the Sassanid Empire, to develop a specific type of counterattack to the Huns. At the same time, we know that when the Huns wasn't no more a problem, these two empires, the East Roman Empire and the Sassanid Empire, developed themselves some battles, and the Sassanid Empire tried to limit the borders of the East Roman Empire, in particular also in the period of Justinian in the 6th century AD. In any case, we know that this type of conflicts during the ages arrived to develop a specific type of limitations between these two empires, and we know that in the 7th century AD, in the middle of the 7th century AD, and then in the 7th and the 8th century AD, there was the important invasion of the Muslims from the Africa to Spain, in particular also that arrived to comprehend the territories of Asia East that were part of the Sassanid Empire. It is really interesting because when Arabs arrived and conquered the Sassanid Empire and part of the East Roman Empire, for example Egypt, for example the North Africa, for example the Tunisia, etc., they took indirectly the Greek culture, because they conquered the Persian Sassanid Empire, and the Persian Sassanid Empire maintained in part the Greek culture. And at the same time, it is true We have to consider that the Arabs, when they conquered the Persian Sassanid Empire, indirectly arrived to study, for example, Aristotle, Plato, the Greek science, and then this type of structure it was exported in and returned from the Arabs, passing through the Persian Sassanids to the North Africa and returning to Europe from, for example, Spain, or in this sense also from Sicily, etc. And this is why the Greek culture. This is why the Greek culture returned in Europe, in particular. We have to clarify this. Yeah, in the Middle Ages there were only some men that knew, in any case, the Greek, but the idea of Greek culture it was fallen. In any case, this type of structure that Muslims developed in part, it was because the conquer of the Sassanid Empire that maintained the Greek culture in relation with the East Roman Empire, and this type of connections when the Muslim Empire arrived, conquering the Persian Sassanid Empire, the North Africa, and then a part of Spain, explained the idea that Muslims indirectly rebought the Greek language, the Greek culture rearrived in Europe, thanks in part from this situation between the East Roman Empire, the Persian Sassanid Empire, and the Muslims. In the end, in the 12th and in particular in 30th century AD, it will be some important intellectual, for example, of the church, that will study Plato and Aristotle, for example, Aquinas, or also in Spain in the centuries during the discovery of America, but also important poets, for example, and important intellectual that wrote about literature, for example, Dante Alighieri. And this is why there was the main rediscovery in Europe of the Greek literature and Greek science. In particular, for example, if we think also the Greek maths, for example, the maths of Euclides. Bye.